Have you ever pondered why American Christianity, despite its global connections, often feels profoundly distinct from its counterparts worldwide? From the ancient liturgies of European cathedrals to the vibrant communal worship in African churches and the resilient faith practiced under duress in Asia, a stark contrast emerges when one observes the American religious landscape. The very lexicon of faith, the modalities of worship, and Christianity's societal role here diverge significantly. Is this merely cultural adaptation, or does it signify a more fundamental theological reorientation? Let us embark on a critical, thought-provoking exploration of this fascinating phenomenon. Welcome to the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are critically examined. It is crucial to acknowledge that Christianity did not originate in America. This two-millennia-old faith, born in the Middle East and nurtured across Europe and Africa, arrived in the nascent United States relatively late. Yet, its encounter with a nation forging its identity around concepts of individual liberty, democratic authority, and personal choice proved transformative. American Christianity evolved symbiotically with these foundational American ideals. The central question for theological discourse is this: to what extent has the American cultural experience reshaped the very essence of the Christian faith? Are we witnessing a contextualized adaptation, or has America fundamentally reconfigured Christian meaning and practice? This inquiry demands rigorous theological and historical analysis. Perhaps the most profound divergence lies in American Christianity's pronounced emphasis on individual faith over institutional belonging. Globally, particularly in Europe, the Middle East, and parts of Asia, Christianity is deeply interwoven with ancient traditions, established hierarchies, and venerable institutions. The Orthodox, Catholic, and historic Protestant churches embody centuries of magisterial authority and communal tradition. Membership often implies adherence to established doctrines and practices, with individual interpretation typically subordinated to ecclesial consensus. Conversely, American Christianity champions a personal relationship with Jesus, framing faith as an individual decision and spiritual journey. This accentuates personal experience, individual scriptural interpretation, and the selection of a faith community based on personal resonance rather than inherited tradition. The Matthean invitation, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden," is often interpreted as a direct, unmediated call to the individual, bypassing traditional ecclesiastical structures. This raises a critical theological question. Has American individualism, with its cultural premium on personal freedom, inadvertently diminished the communal and institutional dimensions historically central to Christian identity? Is this shift a positive re-emphasis on authentic personal conviction, or does it risk fragmenting the corporate body of Christ and eroding the continuity of tradition? The answer hinges on one's theological understanding of the Church's nature and authority. Flowing from this individualism is American Christianity's unparalleled denominational diversity. The United States hosts thousands of distinct Christian denominations, a phenomenon almost unmatched globally. Beyond major traditions, countless independent churches, non-denominational movements, and newly formed groups proliferate. This landscape fosters a competitive environment where churches vie for adherence, adapting and rebranding to maintain relevance. Believers frequently church shop, seeking communities that align with their evolving needs or beliefs, often switching denominations. This practice would be alien in many global contexts where one's church affiliation is often geographically or ancestrally determined, and switching might be perceived as disloyalty. While some American Christians cite 1 Corinthians 12:4-6 regarding varieties of gifts but the same Spirit, to justify this diversity, a deeper theological question emerges. Does this freedom of choice and denominational pluralism represent a strength, allowing Christianity to adapt to diverse spiritual needs, or does it fragment shared belief to the point where Christianity loses coherent meaning? When thousands of denominations espouse widely divergent theological positions, all claiming Christian identity, it challenges the very notion of a unified koinonia and shared orthodoxy. Is this innovative flexibility or a perilous theological fragmentation? Another hallmark of American Christianity is its profound shaping by revival movements and an emphasis on emotional, experiential faith. From the Great Awakenings to contemporary megachurch worship, American Christianity often exhibits an energetic, expressive, and public character. This includes passionate preaching, altar calls for immediate conversion, worship services resembling concerts, and testimonies of dramatic personal transformation. This prioritization of personal experience and emotional connection to the divine stands in contrast to many global Christian expressions. Orthodox Christianity, with its ancient liturgies, Catholic contemplative traditions, and many European Protestant churches often emphasize ritual, intellectual understanding, and a more reserved worship style. The theological implications are significant. Is American Christianity's experiential focus a vital antidote to dry intellectualism, making faith more accessible and real? Or does an over-reliance on emotion risk theological instability, susceptibility to manipulation, and a diminished appreciation for doctrinal depth and historical continuity? This tension between pathos and logos is central to understanding American Christian distinctiveness. A unique aspect of American Christianity is its operation within a free market environment. Unlike many global contexts where churches receive state support or benefit from established community obligation, American churches rely on voluntary donations and compete for members. Successful congregations often adopt business-like models employing branding, marketing, media production, and sophisticated outreach strategies. Pastors with entrepreneurial acumen can build vast organizations. This dynamic fosters a religious Darwinism, where churches that attract and retain members thrive, while others struggle. The biblical warning in 1 Timothy 6:10, "The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil," prompts uncomfortable questions about whether prosperity and market success have become unduly central to American Christian identity. Globally, many faithful Christian communities endure without wealth, media visibility, or the trappings of American religious success. This raises a critical theological inquiry. Does this free market environment and the prosperity it can generate subtly influence American theological priorities? If churches must attract and retain members for financial viability, is there an inherent pressure to cater to consumer preferences rather than uncompromising spiritual needs? This fundamentally alters the ecclesial dynamic compared to churches sustained by tradition, communal obligation, or state support. A crucial factor distinguishing American Christianity is its deep entanglement with national identity and civic culture. While Christianity globally exists alongside or often in tension with national traditions or even persecution, in America it developed symbiotically with the nation's founding. The Pilgrims envisioned a New Jerusalem. Founding documents referenced divine providence, and national mythology incorporated religious language. This created a unique civil religion, where American patriotism often employs Christian rhetoric, national holidays carry religious undertones, and political leaders invoke God and biblical values to justify policy. Jesus' injunction to "render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's," Matthew 22:21, suggests a distinction between religious and civic spheres. Yet, in American Christianity, this line has frequently blurred. The theological question is profound. Does this intimate relationship between Christian faith and American national identity fundamentally alter the character of belief, potentially compromising prophetic critique and universal mission? Or is it simply a natural process of contextualization, akin to how Christianity adapted to European or African cultural forms? The debate centers on whether this fusion represents a corruption of faith, making it too comfortable with temporal power, or a legitimate cultural expression. It is imperative for American theologians and religious leaders to recognize that the majority of Christians today reside outside the United States and Europe. Global Christianity is experiencing its most rapid growth in Africa, Latin America, and parts of Asia. The typical Christian globally is likely a woman in sub-Saharan Africa or a young person in a Latin American Pentecostal church. These communities often practice Christianity in ways that diverge significantly from the American model. They emphasize endurance through hardship over prosperity, communal solidarity over individual choice, and often navigate real persecution rather than cultural dominance. Their worship may be more embodied, communal, and less polished. Their faith often centers on suffering, sacrifice, and daily dependence on God, rather than achieving your best life now. This compels a crucial question. Is American Christianity the normative global standard, or is it merely one localized expression shaped by unique American circumstances and not inherently superior or more authentic? From a global perspective, American Christianity can appear spiritually thin, overly focused on individual fulfillment, too comfortable with wealth, and unduly influenced by consumerism. This is not to diminish its strengths, but to underscore the necessity for American Christians to cultivate self-awareness, recognizing that their faith is profoundly culturally mediated, not simply the universal form of Christianity. So, has American Christianity creatively adapted to thrive in a unique cultural context? Or has it drifted so far from its ancient roots that it has become something fundamentally different? Is the observed distinction a sign of innovation and vitality, or of isolation and theological drift from global Christian communion? Can global Christianity, believers in Africa, Asia, Latin America, Europe, and the Middle East, still recognize itself in the American version of faith, or have the differences become so significant that we are in essence discussing distinct religious phenomena that merely share a common vocabulary? These are not questions amenable to simplistic answers. Christianity has always contextualized itself, taking on local flavors and addressing local concerns from its earliest spread into Greek and Roman cultures. Thus, American Christianity's distinctiveness is, in some respects, a continuation of a two-millennia-old pattern. The critical theological inquiry remains: has the American adaptation preserved the essential charisma and didache of Christian faith? Or has something more fundamental shifted, transforming the very truths it purports to express? What is undeniable is this: American Christianity feels different because it is different, shaped by unique historical, cultural, and socioeconomic factors. Whether this difference represents strength, weakness, or simply a unique expression within the broader tapestry of global Christianity is a profound question that every theologian, researcher, and religious leader, American and global, must grapple with honestly and rigorously. This is the Scholar's Ledger, where history, faith, and power are revealed. If this theological inquiry has stimulated your thinking, we invite you to subscribe, engage with our content, and share your nuanced perspectives in the comments below. Your contribution to this vital discussion is invaluable.